The West Memphis Three pled guilty, so they are guilty, and it's on their shoulders the burden to prove their innocence. This is something I heard several times on the net and also in conversations with other people that interested in that case. And if they had a fair trial, that would be also true. Once you plead guilty, once you have been proved guilty and you plead guilty to get a lower sentence, it is legally on your shoulders, the burden to prove your own innocence. There is a little problem. The West Memphis Three didn't plead guilty immediately. They didn't plead guilty on the first trial because they were, well, except Jesse, which is, I must remember that to everyone, which is mentally impaired and made a long series of internally contradictory and inconsistent confessions. But Jason Baldwin and Damien Eccles didn't plead guilty because they thought they would be acquitted since there were no real evidence against them. No DNA, no recording, not even an internally consistent witnessing. They had all the reason to think a court would not sentence to lifetime and death row two, three people on the basis on biased witnessing, biased internally inconsistent witnessings. Some of them have been um, denied on a second time by the very own people that made them. And the point is, they accepted the plea, they pled guilty only after spending more than 20 years on prison for something they didn't make, and after being convicted in an illegal way, because the American law states very clearly that a person must be proved guilty beyond any reasonable doubt, and they weren't proved guilty beyond any doubt. They weren't proved guilty at all. So after being betrayed by your own state legal system, and after spending 20 years or more on prison, especially in the case of Damien Eccles that was still under the threat of death, it's obvious that a person would immediately jump to any chance to save his own life and go out of prison. It is totally equivalent to extort a confession by torture, to throw a person without evidence in prison for 20 years and then give him the chance to go out by admitting something he didn't do. It is like slow torture. It reminds me of Monte Cristo Count story. And it is pretty ridiculous to say, but if they were innocent, they would not plead guilty. Hey, we aren't all martyrs. Of course, in American culture, there is that martyrdom idea, which if a person is innocent, he will never ever plead guilty. But that is blatantly false. Also, because we must remember, Damien Eccles isn't a Christian. For some of us, as a generical term, this is the only life that exists, and not all of us are ready to go to martyrdom to face death penalty just for the ideal that a person must not lie. If a person is wrongfully convicted and he fears to be to and he fears is going to be executed, that person has also the right to lie and tell those judges what they want to hear. But that doesn't make him guilty. It doesn't make him guilty at all. It reminds me the Catholic tradition to put to torture people because there was the idea that a true Christian would not risk his soul by making a false confession, not even under torture. Well, if we must accept that, I should suggest the American law system to start reintroducing legal torture in trials so they would get a lot more confessions and we would all be slave and content. Well, I have said what I had to say.